The aviation industry has been especially hard hit during these tough economic times, and Cessna, of course, has just announced a new round of layoffs. What would you do in Washington to protect this major industry and employer in Kansas?
Mike Pompeo.
Let me begin by just saying thank you quickly to the university for hosting this event and to you all being here, and Representative Goyle for you being here as well. And thank you all for coming out tonight to hear us as well. The question you begin with may be the most important question facing our country today. Indeed, it's why I decided to run for Congress. I spent 10 years in that industry. I ran a company that I grew from 0 to over 400 employees right here in Wichita, Kansas, in that very industry. And when I saw the news on Monday, deeply saddened. Those are 700 families that have real challenges. And in Washington, D.C., my function is to make sure that risk takers and entrepreneurs will invest right here in Kansas. It's to put federal policies in place that say to business, you are welcome. You are welcome to grow. You are welcome to create jobs and be the engine of prosperity that's made this nation the greatest nation in the history of the world. What we've seen in the last 24 months under this administration is precisely the opposite of that. We've seen the most job-destructive administration under President Obama and Speaker Pelosi in the history of our nation. And of course, in that same 24 months, we've lost tens of thousands of jobs right here in the 4th District of Kansas, thousands and thousands of them in that very, very vital industry. Look, it's very clear, it's a direct response. When the federal government grows too big, and the rewards go to folks who are part of the federal fisc, and we say we're going to take more power to Washington, D.C., than private sector jobs, great private sector jobs here in Sedgwick County and in the 4th District are lost. You can't grow jobs when you have uncertainty that rises to the level we have today. We passed the health care law, which is job destructive. They proposed the capital trade bill, which will destroy jobs. They spent $1.4 trillion on a stimulus plan, and we certainly haven't seen the jobs here in Wichita, Kansas. These are things that are not conducive to job growth, and so the direct result is what you see. The aviation industry is particularly special. We have a president who spoke and made it politically incorrect to fly in a Wichita-built airplane. Even the head of the industrial, even the head of the IAM begged this president to come to Wichita and speak with the business leadership, to come see the devastation that his policies and his pronouncements about this critical industry to us, to see the impact it's had on the lives and families of folks here in Kansas. So when I go to Washington, D.C., I'll put a tax code in place that is no longer the worst in the Western industrialized world. We'll put regulatory policies in place that cause investment once again here in Kansas.
Same question, do you need it restated or are you ready to go?
No, I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you very much for the audience. It's great to see such a great crowd here. Also, thank you to Wichita State and the organizer. Thank you to Mike for agreeing to give me tonight. I look forward to the campaign trail ahead. I'm Raj Goyle. I'm a Wichita native, a state representative from the 87th District, and for 4 years, I've worked successfully across party lines to seek common sense solutions that benefit all Kansans. I've taken my job seriously. And out of 1,585 votes, I've never missed one. I fulfilled my promise to never take a free personal meal, trip, or gift from a lobbyist. And I helped solve our budget crisis in the state. I helped solve our budget crisis in the state by cutting my own legislative pay 2 years in a row. I'm honored to be joined here by my beautiful wife, Monica, and I think you might have just heard our 9-month-old baby daughter, Anna. You will hear a lot from her tonight when she cries, especially when her dad is talking. I think tonight what you will hear from my opponent is a lot of what you just heard about guilt by association, blame game politics, and name calling to both the President of the United States, the Speaker of the House, and people of both parties. But what I will say, and what I will say tonight, is that I believe this effort will fail, because I have confidence not only in separating, in all of you, to separate fact and fiction. Me personally, let me remind you of who I am. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm the only one on this stage. I'm the only one on this stage who's actually voted to cut your taxes, and I did it more than 50 times. I voted to cut more than $500 million in wasteful government spending. And I believe in a bipartisan approach to governing, one in stark contrast to what you'll hear from my opponent already and what you will hear for the rest of tonight. The fact of the matter is, despite what my opponent will say about me being too loyal to my party, I voted actually 80% of the time with Republicans in the legislature. And I will stand up to my party anytime when it's the right thing to do for Kansas. And my vote goes out to the 700 families that will be affected by these layoffs. And we have fundamental differences about how to approach creating and protecting jobs. My opponent has said that nothing can be done about sending these jobs overseas. He's engaged in the practice himself, and he's actually said that he fundamentally thinks it's not his job to bring jobs back to Kansas. I couldn't disagree more. I will wake up every morning and go to bed every night working hard to bring jobs back to this district, regardless of party labels. And you have a very clear choice. If you believe in creating jobs in Mexico and engaging in partisan bickering, then Mike Pompeo is your choice. But if you believe in investing in workers and businesses here and working in a bipartisan manner, then I'm your guy.
Well, I welcome Representative Goyle to the world of job creation.
Yeah!
Let's keep score. Pompeo 400, Goyle 0. That's how many jobs that I've created in Kansas, fighting against the very politicians that will tell you one thing and do something different when they go to Washington, D.C. It's an enormous battle, but it's a battle worth fighting. It's a battle about America. It's a battle of, do you want to turn power over to Washington, D.C.? Are you happy to make decisions here with people in this room doing the right thing with personal responsibility and hard work being the values that we all know in Kansas? Or do you prefer taking $1 trillion out of the private sector economy, handing it to politicians in Washington, D.C., and letting them all fight about how to redistribute that wealth? I, for one, tell you, I've fought to create those jobs. It's hard work, and I am proud to have done it here in Kansas.
Once again, the facts are different than my opponent suggests. The votes that I've cast in the legislature have helped create thousands of jobs. And in fact, in 2008, a bill that we passed directly led to Governor Parkinson negotiating with Learjet. 2 months ago, we announced 600 high-quality, high-paying jobs. And that's how you create and protect jobs, by working across the aisle, by working in a public-private partnership. The difference between myself and my opponent, he would have opposed that deal because of the rigid ideology of always saying no and saying that government must get the heck out of the way of everything. And if we're going to talk about jobs and about our business record, I'll be happy to have that debate for the rest of this evening, because I can tell you this: we may have created some jobs, but I've never created a job in Mexico, and I never will.